Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and today I'm going to review the 4K edition of Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. You can also find me over Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Movie Guy 365, as well as over at the Disney Magic Hour podcast. I'll put a link for that in the description. Alright, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones is here on 4K. Disney has released all the Star Wars films on the 4K format, so I'm reviewing them individually. Definitely check those other videos out. So we're going to be focusing on Attack of the Clones, one of the first digital movies actually ever shot. So that will be just interesting to talk about as far as the transition over to 4K. We'll talk about the 4K, we'll talk about the audio mix, the Dolby Atmos, but before we do anything else, let's do a quick unboxing. Alright, Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, slipcover edition. There we have the front cover, and the back, and the spine, and then of course we have the front and the back, and then just, you know, like the previous, these are stacked all together. There's artwork on these, so yeah, it's a shame they didn't separate these. I don't like the stacked effect, but all right, so that's enough of the unboxing. Now let's talk about the picture quality and the audio. Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones was shot digitally, and it was one of the first movies of that time period to actually use digital cameras. So the results of giving it a upgrade or an upscale over to the 4K side utilizing HDR is going to be mixed at best. That being said, that it does have a bit of a lot of highlights that I feel are really noteworthy here. I feel that the nighttime Coruscant scenes, especially during the beginning of the movie, are very particularly strong. The lighting of the city, the never-ending city, look really good utilizing 4K HDR. Other things like, you know, the laser blasts and lightsabers, those are also beneficiaries utilizing HDR. They look really good. Now, where I feel that things kind of get a little bit more hit or miss is level of detail. More practical effects like R2-D2 and those things that are more physical, the real, tend to benefit more on the detail side of things. But more of the CGI elements that were rendered over on 2K DI, they're not as strong, and they look a little bit, you know, they look CGI, and they look you know, pretty little less detailed, just not as sharp, or as, you know, when you contrast it against something real like a person, then, you know, you're definitely going to be noticing differences in that aspect. So it's not the best looking as far as that goes, or as far as CGI elements go. But it has its moments, but it also has its weaknesses too. Black levels seem to be pretty good. They're pretty solid for the most part. I did notice a few issues of macro blocking spread throughout the film. Mostly just, and I think it's just more or less a limit of the camera technology, and less about the actual 4K HDR aspect. But yeah, so there is a little bit here and there, but I think for the most part, those darker scenes, as I mentioned, on Coruscant and interiors, they look good. They're just not as solid and deep as you would normally expect over on a 4K side of things. As far as just color gamut goes, it looks great. Lightsabers, you know, laser blasts, they all look great. There's no problem in that aspect whatsoever. Just, I think for the most part, it looks great. It's just, once again, you just got to be wary of those little weaknesses in the technology of the camera itself. So as far as the audio mix goes, that's where things are really impressive. The Dolby Atmos is pretty striking. It really kind of, it's definitely an improvement over the previous Blu Ray. It really just shines. It's a near demo worthy inclusion, in my opinion, and I think for the most part it handles itself fairly nicely. This being a Disney release, you're going to have to crank up the volume a little bit to get that to really fill the room, but it does lack that overall strength behind the audio mix, and that's just more or less a Disney thing. But the immersive feeling and the immersiveness of the track cannot be argued, and it's a very strong overall presentation. Now, as far as center channels go, dialogue comes through pretty clean, easy to understand everybody, no problems in that area. Your front channels sound great. It handles a lot of the burden of the action, and it does its job fairly nicely. As far as mid-level rears, lots of immersive elements. You know, everything from a laser blast to just some kind of, you know, like a droid speaking in the background. Something to that effect. It's usually pretty prominent, and it sounds pretty good for the most part. Your height speakers definitely get a workout. Everything, like during the Count Dooku Yoda battle, you could definitely get a little bit of height action, and it definitely it makes you notice it, and it sounds pretty good. And of course, during the fighting scenes, there's a fair amount of overhead action for the most part. So I'm very impressed with the Dolby Atmos mix. It's pretty demo worthy in my opinion. It really sounds good. It's not going to be the strongest as far as that goes, but what we do get here, it's a very presentable, and it's a very good audio mix as far as Dolby Atmos goes here on Star Wars Attack of the Clones. So I'm going to go ahead and give my overall score. I'm going to go ahead and give the picture quality here a B+. I think the early digital camera work kind of mars the overall presentation here. We get a bit of macro blocking and just a little bit of softness on the CGI elements, but for the most part, it does handle the picture fairly nicely, a lot better than over on the Phantom Menace. So B+ for that score. Audio mix is an A-. It's very strong. Very good overall presentation, and I think you're going to be very impressed over the upgrade over the standard Blu Ray. So that's my review of Star Wars Attack of the Clones in 4K. Let me know in the comments below if you had a chance to check it out and what your thoughts were. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.